Alright, welcome back to The Keep. It's me, the Motherload, and yeah, I know I promised to, hey, we'll be back next week with another awesome guest, but, honestly, it was really hard to follow Sergeant Mark, first of all. That was amazing, and I'm really glad that we did that. It was a very successful episode, which is not always the goal, necessarily. Usually it's just about, getting the coolest people, regardless of what I think the audience will be, but I'm very happy with the performance of that episode and how it went and all that, so that's cool. But yeah, I had some actual real life shit come up, and I didn't really get to get an interview done, but that gave me an opportunity to sit down and do another one of these little state of the keep, what's going on in your brain Motherload episodes. And it's not all the time that I really get to just spend time talking about what I think, because the show is typically about other people, which is how I want it to mostly stay. But there's a lot going on in the, in our little world right now. And I wanted to, put down a list of everything and kind of just get it all out at one time. So here we are, State of the Keep number 2. It's me. How are you? I hope you're doing good. I can't hear you because it's just me talking. And I'm going to start this off by, first of all, talking about the recent appearance of New Blood, and Dave Oshry from New Blood was on the PC Gamer Show, and they had an amazing showing, with just a little vignette trailer with all their different games and everything that are coming out. So many cool things. I mean, we got Airdorf was pretty heavily featured. His game Faith is, obviously gonna wreck the world when it finally hits the unholy trinity. It's not even an FPS. It's just so cool and so undeniable, and I'm really glad that they picked up that project. And it was peppered in throughout the whole thing. It was so cool. And Dave Oshry, always a badass, and he shows up with his big scraggly beard, and he's just cussing up a storm, and really representing New Blood in a way that felt very true to them. But we got to talk about some of the announcements that were made. And first of all, Unfortunate Spacemen finally gets a full release, so that's awesome. Unfortunate Spacemen, for anybody who's not aware, it's an FPS, but it's a cooperative kind of like that. What's that game? The Friday the 13th game sort of thing. So, one of us is the killer and no one who knows who it is, and we're all in a spaceship in outer space and that kind of thing. It's pretty cool. I recommend, checking it out. Obviously, New Blood, they kick ass. It's one of their earliest projects, and for them to finally have finished that is really cool. I was happy to see that. But then we have the more tangible, true to this show kind of stuff. So the Gloomwood demo was finally dropped. And we had Dylan Rogers on the show a while back, and got such an amazing guest. And Gloomwood, anyone who's just kind of in the dark on this, first of all, go get the demo right now. It's on Steam, totally free. Gloomwood is kind of like Thief with Guns. That's the way they're called. They're literally the website for it is Thief with Guns. Actually, PC Gamer Show fucked that up. They fucked up the name of the website, and they fucked up showing gameplay footage of it. But regardless, the demo's out. And yeah, so Thief plus guns. And you're in this beautiful Victorian cobblestone kind of setting, and you have these amazing weapons. The weapon design, I knew from watching that it was going to be pretty cool, but once you actually get your hands on it, you get that real Dave Szymanski touch on a weapon. So you have these things that are going on with the game, right? You have your pistol once you get the pistol, and it is a 6-shot revolver, but you don't have we're all used to having a number on the screen that says that's how many bullets you have. This is such a great immersive sim, in that you have to physically open up the gun and check, look how many bullets you have. Try to remember that when you're in combat, you don't have a little weapons counter to refer to. It's so if you're going to discharge that firearm, first of all, it's a stealth game, so if you shoot that gun, people are going to hear it and come straight at you. And second of all, yeah, you better know how many bullets you have, because if you run out, you're fucked. And it's so cool, man. Everything about it, I'm sure there's stuff they're going to iron out over time and all that, but just as it stands right now, the shotgun, it's so loud when you're in this setting, and it feels so quiet. It feels everything's kind of peaceful, or very tense, because I know there's an enemy around the corner, and somebody jumps up on you and you whip out a shotgun, and that when you pull that trigger, man, it's deadening. Oh, shit's about to get real. It's This is immersive sim at its absolute peak, and I cannot wait to see where they go with it from here. I can't stress it enough. Please go check out the demo and show Taffer King, Dylan Rogers, show New Blood, show Dave Szymanski, all of those guys. Like, show them your love. And that brings me to the next game that they actually put out, the Ultra Kill demo officially. Like, we've already played many of us have already played Ultra Kill from, like, the NDDB page and all that kind of thing. But now it's got that New Blood polish on it. I can't stress this any more than I think I already have on the show, but I'll say it again just for the sake of repeating myself. Ultra Kill is a representation. It's not the only game like it. There's an argument to be made. Maybe it's not even quote unquote the best game like it. I'm not making an argument either way. Just saying that I think that style shooter PSX sort of thing is going to be kind of the next wave to catch in the retro shooter scene. And it might even take us to the Holy Land, like the point where it's no longer just this tiny little niche thing, and it's going to be like retro shooter. That's a genre. You go on Twitch and you're like, what kind of game are you streaming? You type in the tag retro shooter. I think that will be a thing. And this is the kind of game that really seems to hit all of the right notes. If it were a guitar solo, it's like it can resonate with any kind of person. It's beautiful. You can choose to play it with the old school PSX style thing, or you can make it look a lot smoother. It's up to you. Choose your own thing. This game is like that Devil May Cry kind of thing. If actually, I recommend you go back and just listen to my recent episode with Hakita, who is the dev of Ultra Kill, and also we're gonna have him back on the show here pretty soon too. But you have like all these dash mechanics, and you have these upgrades for your weapons. Like, so you get in the demo thus far, you get a pistol and you get a shotgun, and you get a sort of machine gun, like a double barrel machine gun sort of weapon. And each of these weapons has little upgrades that you can do. And, so that could be, you can choose between like a setting where your pistol can overcharge, sort of like Doom style. You save up, and then you shoot a big blast and it does a lot more damage. Or you can do this thing where you're like flipping a coin up in the air. It's called the marksman. And then you shoot that and it reflects off and automatically hits your enemy in the weak spot, whatever that happens to be. It has so much to offer, double jumping or, wall jumping, the platforming section, just in the demo, just in the first like 5 levels. Really impressive. Really, really impressive. And you can start to see at the end of it, you really start to see the level design where it's going to become a little bit more complex than like the sort of linear way that we first saw the game represented. So I'm very happy with this. The boss fights, even now, the boss fights are so cool, and they're only going to get cooler. I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, play the demo. Play the demo if you haven't already. Now is the time to get your feet wet in Ultra Kill. So yeah, I'm so stoked for that. The other couple, I have a whole list of things to talk about. So the next thing I wanted to do is kind of give a verbal sort of review of the Dread X collection. Now, if you didn't hear my episode pretty recently with Ted Hetchke of Dread XP and Dread Central, he's an amazing writer. He's been writing, horror review forever, and he's just such a cool guy. Like, he's a really, really cool guy. He's one of those just beautifully charitable and idealistic kind of guys that, like, it's just like he's infectious. Like, being around him really makes you feel inspired to like work a little harder and try a little better to be a better person, because you're not quite going to put the output that Ted, does into the world. So first of all, hey Ted, love you, man. But his recent game, the Dread X collection, right? It's a collection of 10 horror games, 10 PTs, playable teasers, for what would be these devs' dream games, essentially. Like, so it's a playable teaser for what would be hopefully a full-length game with all of its ideas fleshed out later on. And you get that for $7. You pay $5, to the developers, and $2 of those dollars, the other $2, go to Doctors Without Borders. That's incredible. So this is a great deal. You get 10 games for $7, and 2 of them go to charity. That's 50 cents a game plus a charitable donation. You can't go wrong with this. And all of these games are pretty self-contained. It's not like you're just getting left off with like a crazy cliffhanger. It's not part of a game. It is like I said, a PT. So I wanted to like kind of get into what were my favorite ones. There's 10 of them. If I don't say the name of a game in here, that doesn't mean that it's not awesome. Actually, I really do think that all 10 of these games are worth your time to try out. These are just the ones that really stood out to me. Like I want to buy the rest of this game. So, first of all, my favorite one is Hand of Doom. It is by Torpal Duke. He's also, I guess, by that name, he's famous for Earl's Day Off, which he did with Airdorf. And he's got a background in the world of PC gaming other than this, or just video game dev in general. But so Torpal Duke, that name, associated with Earl's Day Off. And this game, Hand of Doom, man, it's like you're an incanter. You're like a sorcerer of types, and you have like little chants. It's a 4x3 kind of layout, very old school style game, and you just kind of walk around the map, and you have these puzzles that involve you casting spells or incanting spells by repeating one of your 4 key phrases, syllables that you would say. And also you get a dagger at one point that you can use bloodletting to kind of add to the combo. And it's just such a cool concept. It's an FP something. It's not a shooter. You don't shoot anything really, but it's first person. It looks, like a Doom sort of style graphics. It's got everything that you would think would make something super cool to this audience, and I love it. I cannot wait to see a full release of that game. So hopefully Torpal Duke continues to work on it. And I'd like to, I don't know if he's ever going to hear this, but I will invite him to be on the show at some point, specifically for this game, because it's so good. The other one, so the Outsiders is the one that I got to play before the game was fully released. That was what Ted was kind of shopping around to all the streamers and content creators. I really enjoyed that. So much so that I was starting this kind of like, I'm trying to start a culture of paying it forward, right? So I got my copy of DreadX for free. So what I did was I bought 2 copies and gave them to friends with the understanding that I'm giving this to you and you will owe me in return, not to pay me back, but to give it to someone else. And like, hopefully that just spirals out from there. So yeah, the Outsiders, I don't want to like spoil it for the people who haven't played it, but I've talked about it on the show before. So essentially it's like a live, die, repeat sort of situation, an escape room almost. And you kind of slowly have to figure out the puzzle to get out of this house. And it's really, really cool. That was the game that, as I said, as I was getting at earlier, that's the game that when I bought this for people, I was like, not only will you have to buy this for someone else, but I want to watch you play Outsiders for the first time. And I did that with Bran Flakes, and she had a great time, I think. And if any game was going to sell you on this package, that was definitely the right choice by Fred to kind of shop around to everybody. It's such these are all made in like 7 days. I believe that they had 7 days to make the games. And this is such a complete experience that it's really hard to believe that it was only done, in the course of 7 days. But somehow Malek, he pulled it off. And outstanding game, highly recommended. Very, very cool first-person horror game. The Pony Factory, that was David Szymanski's game. Ted told me when we were, when he was hinting at everything, that the games that you think, when you hear the developers' names or you've played their stuff before, that you think are going to be the best standout games are not actually, like, I think you're going to like ones that you didn't think that you would like before. Now, I will say that I thought I was going to like the Pony Factory because it's Dave Szymanski and I love him and his work and New Blood and everything. And I was right. It's fucking awesome. Like, it's really, really cool. It's obviously not totally clean and perfect. It's an early idea for what would be something else, but such a cool game. Genuinely scary. Like, genuine horror when you play this game. The monsters coming out of the dark. They're like these weird, fucked up, like fleshy people that have been like pushed through a machine and mechanically turned into these like unicorn pony monsters. It's fucking terrifying. Dave Szymanski, if you haven't played his older games, before Dusk, because everybody knows him like as the meme lord kind of retro FPS guy. David is a masterful storyteller, a master of atmosphere, and he's got such a twisted, creative mind. It's unbelievable. And he really brought his A game to the table with the Pony Factory, and I hope that gets a little bit more polish, and hopefully we get to see that idea through. So check that one out also. Zalevier Nelson made Mr. Bucket Told Me To. This is also a first-person horror game, but it's a bit different. There's no shooting of any kind in this game. This is strictly a kind of like psychological torture sort of situation. And I'm not going to go too into detail because I think you should play this one for yourself without me yammering about it. But imagine the movie Castaway, but if Wilson were evil. That's basically what you get out of this. So try that one out. It's really cool. And then there was another. Okay, Shatter was a standout for me. Not even like not scary, but horrifying in the sense that it's disturbing. This is like a game that seems to hint at your brain interfacing with technology and perceiving things that you were previously unable to perceive in the world. And you really get that sense. You play through it. There's like these fly monsters that are not available to you until you get a neural uplink sort of situation. I don't know how to explain this other than really, really cool retro shooter. Really like it. And to me, this was like a standout of the package. And then the last one I want to talk about, as I said before, Ted warned me, you're not, the games that you think you're going to be into are not necessarily going to be the ones that you think are really the standouts. And when I played Don't Go Out, I walked into this okay, I'm going to play this just for the sake of completion. I'm not really, I appreciate that style of game, the roguelite thing. So Don't Go Out is like a roguelite looking top-down dungeon crawlery sort of game, and you sort of interface with it through trading cards that give you little special abilities. I'm sure there's a more beautifully articulate, intelligent way to describe this genre. It's just not one that's at the forefront of my schema of the world. That's not what I do. I do this, the whole shooter thing. But I first started playing it and I didn't understand it, and I'm like, oh god, this is such a pain in my ass. But I sort of got it after a bit. I started realizing how it works, and you have to play with the lights. You have less light every turn. You try to escape that level, and there are plant monster things that are sort of growing over time, and it's turn based, so you have to you get more than one character. You draw cards that allow you to have up to 4 or 5 characters on the board at the same time, and you want to strategically space them around and keep them from interfacing with the monsters or with the plants that are growing that'll kill you, so that at least one of them, or hopefully multiple of them, survive that level. Really, really cool. Absolutely a standout of the package. Very impressed by that. And again, I'm not dissing on any of the other games. They're all cool. They're all worth it. These are my favorite ones that I felt like I really needed to say. These are definitely, if you don't do anything else, if you don't play the whole DreadX collection, definitely play these games. So awesome. And so many cool, Scythe Dev Team's game, car things, just the whole deal. Get the DreadX collection. It's well worth your $7. You can't go wrong with it. And it would appear that they are already talking about DreadX 2. So, and they tweeted that. I'm not giving you a spoiler, but really, really cool. And I hope they continue to just keep up in the ante with that. Great idea. Great package. Dread XP, Ted Hitchkey, those guys are absolutely killing it. So, next topic. Nightdive's System Shock. I got a demo update. I did a video a while back after we did the podcast with Steven Kick, and he was really cool and let me play the demo kind of early, so I got to do the video, and they finally got a content update out. It's got a lot of quality of life improvement and everything, and I'm really excited to see how people interact with that. We got to keep reminding ourselves that what a crazily uphill battle they have with impressing people with this game. I absolutely love it. I think it's stunning. It doesn't fundamentally change anything about what you liked from System Shock or anything. It's just a beautiful new updated version of it. That's their goal. They're great at doing that, and I'm hoping that everyone continues to enjoy it and like it and see it that way. That said, I also wanted to bring up a Citadel, which is another sort of independent remake of System Shock. It's not this AAA style thing. It's like genuinely like a straight up remake of System Shock, and that one I got to play a little bit of it too, and I really think it's also very promising. So keep an eye out for it as well. That's pretty much it for System Shock news. It's not really news. It's just like I was just excited about it, and I want to get it off my chest. Like, oh, this is so cool. Next thing on my little list here was to talk about 3D Realms new stuff. Jesus, they're really amazing me with Wrath. Like, I've been playing Wrath since day one. I really like it. I followed each little update. In the most recent update, we get a whole new level, and this is, on a different plane. It's so good. It's like this haunted house, not haunted house, but like an abandoned mansion sort of level. You get new enemies, new weapons, and this is atmosphere at its best. Like, this is such an amazing project. Kill Pixel, just they're bringing on some of the most amazing mappers from the Quake community, years and years of experience. If you haven't heard my episode with Kill Pixel, definitely recommend you check that out. And we are going to have him back on the show very soon to continue to talk about these updates. Because with that said, not that I'm privy to anything, but if you're looking at the roadmap on Steam, it has been updated, and they've got big content surprise. It's marked from August 6th to September 20th for Wrath. So whatever that is, I'm sure it's going to be absolutely amazing, and we're all going to love it. So keep an eye out for that for sure. Other things going on with New Blood. They've been teasing. First, they did the Switch release for Ion Fury. That was really cool. And I know they had like a rough start, but like they patched it and it's working now, and that's awesome. I'm really happy about that. But the big thing that's on everybody's mind when it comes to 3D Realms is if you go to their Discord server, there are these two channels. One's called Unannounced FPS, and the other one was called Unannounced FPS number 2. And everybody's like, what the fuck is this? And like, it's been a fun thing. Everybody's trying to figure out like, what's it going to be? And so what they started to do is they have like little question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, blah, 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 H, more question marks. Like, so that you get one letter out of it. And the second one is Unannounced FPS 2. That one's G, 4 question marks, N. So we have 2 guaranteed high quality retro shooters coming out of one of the greatest studios that has ever existed, and is definitely in a newer, better, awesome place right now with Fred and all that kind of thing. So that's really exciting news. Even though we don't know a whole lot about it yet, I want to continue to follow this. I'm going to keep bothering those guys as much as I can to try to get whatever scoop I can get on it. That's great. But really excited about the fact that 3D Realms is just continuing to up the ante and keep pushing forward with what they know that their fans want, and that's me. I know what I want. I want more of these awesome games, like Iron Fury, like Wrath, like all of it. So that was really cool. Running with Scissors, coming out with Postal 4, No Regrets. Civi had a really great video on it. If you haven't checked it out, I recommend you go ahead and do that ASAP. It's really, really cool. But yeah, if you haven't played Postal 2, I actually just recently went through and played through all of Postal 2 and all of its, Apocalypse Weekend and Paradise Lost and everything. And I feel like, I'm not gonna talk about politics and shit on the show. I'm just saying that, like, in the world that we're in right now, wow, do we need something like Postal to be part of, what we're dealing with. Like, we need to laugh. People need to laugh. We need to lose our tense, feelings. And I can't think of anything, the only other thing other than Postal that really tickles that for me, that really gets to that nerve, is like South Park. I was like, I've been watching everything going on in the world and be like, man, we really need a South Park season right now. it's like painful to me to know that I have to wait to see what they're going to come up with, because I'm sure it's going to be fucking hilarious, whatever it is. Like Matt Stone and Trey Parker are the greatest satirists of our time, and I would also tack on Running with Scissors, Vince Desi and Mike J, right up there in the same realm. They're just not quite as famous, but Postal 4 looking awesome. Really can't wait to see how it turns out over time. And I have reached out to them, and it looks like we're probably going to have them on the show at some point, hopefully within, I don't know, next few months or whatever. We'll see what happens. But, that Running with Scissors is, it would be crazy not to have them on the show. Like, there's such an obvious fit in for exactly what we're into here. So hopefully that works out. Really looking forward to it, and just looking forward to it, the development of that game in general, all the way around. Other thing on my list, so if you guys haven't seen this going around, there's the itch.io bundle for racial justice and equality. Again, no political statements here. That's not what this show's about. But what I am saying is that if you'd have to be insane not to recognize a good deal when you see one. And you get something like 1,000 games for $5. All, not all just like indie-ish shit, not super small, whatever games. Some of them are, there's some chaff in the wheat for sure. But I took the liberty of going through it and finding all the stuff that I think is relevant to this show, and go ahead and point it out to you. So there are several really cool retro shooters right there in this bundle. First one that kind of popped out to me was Heavy Bullets. Heavy Bullets is a game by Devolver Digital. It's been around for a while. It's one of those, it's like, it looked really cool. I just never got around to paying money for it, and I just didn't get to do that. So, but now I got it for, I think it's probably like a $10, $15 value. Got it for whatever 1,000th of $5 is. So, bam, done. Gonna check that out. Looks dope. It's got like a really cool kind of spacey, low poly thing going on. 3D, everything's in 3D. It looks dope. Really I'm looking forward to trying that one out. The other one was Penance. Penance is like this old school style FPS. It's got you play as like this fucking lizard Templar thing, whatever. It's got multiple modes, so they have like your handmade campaign levels, and you have also like endless procedurally generated thing going on. Really cool looking. I've heard a little bit about this. I've heard people say like, oh yeah, it's worth it. It's definitely worth playing. But if you get it for 1,000th of $5, then I don't see why it's not worth your time to try it out. Just saying, that's another one in the pack that you should pick up. Spirits of Xanadu. That's a really cool one. That is it's by Good Morning Commander, and it was published by Nightdive. And that one it's an atmospheric, almost like MSIM style thing where you're exploring this spaceship called the Xanadu, and it reminds me of Alien, the Nostromo and everything, set in like an alternate, I guess 1980s sort of thing. Really cool puzzles in it, the whole deal. Like that, you can't go wrong with that. That well worth picking up amongst all these other games for the price. Dorigo Games. This is somebody that I recently kind of got tuned into, and I'm really happy that I did. I'm probably going to reach out to this guy at some point, but two of his games that I saw two of his games were on this bundle. One of them is called Sis Crusher. It came out in like 2018. I can't believe this one got past me. It's a sci-fi first-person shooter with like the synthwave soundtrack. It's got the whole like the setup is essentially you are looking at what appears to be this, I don't know, dystopian future sort of world, and all you get is in the tagline is like, the system is corrupt, you have to fix it. It just, I don't know, it screams kind of that nostalgic 80s cyberpunk sort of vibe. I'm digging this. I'm totally looking forward to checking that out. And he's also got this other game on there called Stowaway, and we're just talking about this with Spirits of Xanadu, but this one kind of gave me that sort of alien vibe where it's a sci-fi horror shooter, and you're like the last of like a small crew of, let me read it off their site. Skeleton crew of decommissioned orbital space station find themselves host to an unexpected guest. I mean, that just sounds dope. I'm going to be playing the fuck out of this stuff, man. That's like top of the list. Yeah, like, again, I'm going to say that probably after each one of these. You'd be crazy not to spend your $5 and get all this amazing content. Then there's This Strange Realm of Mine. This is by Doom Griever, I believe. Yeah, Doom Griever, that's their name. And it's pretty interesting. It's a retro shooter. It's a very story-driven sort of situation. I played a little bit of this one, actually, because I was so kind of curious about the description. It has a lot of poetry involved in it. And I mean, like, actual poetry. It's like based around poems, and it has this weird way of introducing the story. You sort of pick a character, and then it tells you, like, right off the bat that your character's gonna die, so just, like, do the best you can or whatever. And then I think over time you kind of acquire more and more people to come to, like, your lodge. It's supposed to be representational of the afterlife. Very, very cool, very artsy, and, you know, not our typical thing. You know, it's not like, you know, most of our stuff's like, oh, it's fucking brutal. Like, this sounds like a very thoughtful kind of addition to the retro shooter genre. I'm really, really excited about that. Another one was, I just found this one, Into the Mist. The one you get in the pack is Into the Mist 2, The Cult. This is by the other guy. And it's a horror FPS. You're like in an abandoned town. The way I see it from the description, I'll try it out at some point. I'll come back and talk about it. But it seems like the movie The Mist. Like, you're in a town, it's covered by mist, and you kind of go around. And this one appears to have elaborated on the previous game, in that there's now a cult that, you know, you've been captured by, and, you know, you're escaping. Retro shooter. Sounds great. I like the graphics look very doomy, like that 2D poly sort of thing. So, yeah, that's another one on the list. And a few others that these are not like retro shooters necessarily, but just some awesome looking games that I can't believe, again, that they're giving away for such a small amount of money. It's really cool. It's, you know, charity. I think it goes to actually, I'll just look it up real quick. Let's see. You can make your own decisions. So this is split 50-50 between the NAACP Legal Defense and Education Fund and the Community Bail Fund. So, yeah, it's regardless, you know, of what it is, you know, that means something to you in the world or any of that shit. I'm just saying you'd have to be completely insane to pass up on such a great deal. And also, you know, it's not every day that you get such a great deal knowing that it, you know, at least the intention here is for it to help people. And that means something. And so far, they've raised almost $7 million out of their original $5 million goal. So go, you know, I'm just saying, man, get in on a sweet deal. But some of the other games that they're giving away, Celeste is in there. That's awesome as fuck. Receiver is like a really cool kind of a tactical gun game. I thought that was really interesting, and amazed that, you know, again, such a small price for such a wide array of things. The Enigma machine is one of those, like, that looks dope as shit. Sagebrush is actually in this pack. That's Nate Behrens, who was recently on our show, also making the retro shooter Effigy. And yeah, go listen to his show if you haven't already. But what else? Whisper in the Darkness. There's some like really cool. It's not all just games. Some of this is like interactive books. So Whisper in the Darkness, H.P. Lovecraft's story, you know, kind of made as an interactive experience. And there's a few other that are like a tabletop RPG. I didn't even realize. I always just thought that itch.io was about video games, and now I realize that there's a whole bunch of shit going on here that I had no idea about. Like some cool content there. And then the last one that I wanted to mention was Omeganaut, and that one looks really cool because it's essentially, it looks like exactly like Star Fox, like Star Fox 64, one of the fucking most badass games ever. And yeah, seeing something like that built for the PC, I know my wife would go ape shit over this, and she will when she gets home and sees it, that I have it for her to play. But yeah, you'd have to be insane not to throw your $5 at this and get all this amazing content. You know a good deal when you see one, folks. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, I'm just going to leave here. That's pretty much it for me. But I do want to leave here saying that it's June 14th when I'm recording this, right? Late at night. Gotta go to work tomorrow. And I've got to leave you guys with something. So first of all, I always have to say thank you to the people who support this show. Especially those on Patreon or who, whatever. If you donate, you go to inthekeep.com and go to our support tab. You can see all that shit. It doesn't matter. But I try to keep track of everybody who helps out, and truly, really humbled by the recent influx of people. We got 3 new Patreon supporters within, I think, since the last time I updated you guys on it. So Red Eyes Green Dragon, Anthony, and Robert, thank you all very much. I'm honored that, you find this show valuable enough to, put your dollar down and show your support. You guys are absolutely outstanding. I thank you, and the Drowned God Kathala thanks you very much. It's so humbling and so cool. But, without gushing too much, I want to go ahead and tell everybody that has, come this far and supported the Keep and everything. I can't give you all of the details yet. All I want you to know is that without making a promise that I can't keep, over the next couple of months, this show is going to get so much cooler, you won't even be able to believe it. We've got plans. We've got good, awesome things on the horizon. I'm working my ass off. The apostles are working their asses off. We're bringing it 100% to try to make this the best experience for you that we possibly can. And thank you to everyone who's stuck through the, the difficult episodes, or me learning how to do audio interface shit, or, whatever. Every bit of it. Those of you that have stuck through it thick and thin, and those of you who have just jumped on board, welcome. We're happy to have you. Thank you so much for what you're doing for this community. Thank you so much for what you've done for me on a personal level. And we'll be back next week with an awesome interview. I'm not sure who it'll be yet. I've got a few people lined up, but whatever the case, please keep your fucking head on your shoulders. Don't act like a jackass. Be a good person. Love thy neighbor. Stay in the Keep.